I'm here at computers. I will make you like me first. Yeah, sing it with me. I really.
This is the part.
Like Nvidia.
All right.
Okay, I hope I didn't like cringe you guys out too much at the beginning of this video that you might leave, but you know, seeing the CEO of Nvidia having an entire conference hall try to sing along to an AI generated song about liking Nvidia as a company, yeah, that's bad. But that's not even all the cringy marketing that we've seen with this generation. This is AMD's Radeon Spot the Difference Challenge at PAX East 2023. And this isn't like a very like super well-known video. And that's because it was kind of bad.
We have a little challenge here for you folks called Spot the Difference Challenge.
So basically what they did is that they have a PC blind test, and one of them has an AMD graphics card, the other has an Nvidia graphics card. And they're testing people randomly, trying to see if they can spot the difference of which one has which. You know that you won't be able to tell the difference. I made a whole video about this. Like, AMD and Nvidia are extremely close nowadays.
So I'm gonna have you play both.
Absolutely.
And then we're gonna see if you can spot the difference or not.
Perfect.
You ready? Let's go.
So I'm trying to figure out which one was which.
That's what they want you to say. They're like, you don't even know. Like, because most people won't know. And that's why this AMD making this video is odd.
A had really good like transparency and there was no blocking. Anti-aliasing was working really well.
Anti-aliasing was working well. That's not even really GPU specific.
Just because
I'll be honest.
Frame differences, light differences, smoothness of gameplay, and then also the details on the characters when you interact in those cutscenes. Easy winner for me. A. Because
AMD chose to put this guy in their video and he guessed it correctly, is he like the cherry-picked result? What did everybody else get? You know what I mean? I have no clue. This is a weird video.
Could you spot the difference?
Yes, I spotted difference. I started from the computer B first, and when I saw it, like the graphics wasn't the best, but when I went to the computer A, I was really impressed.
It's not even an offense to a guy who took the test. It's like, were these systems even set up at the same settings? Like,
I took more time to look at the graphics on the second system, to be fair, but the first one, you know, I didn't notice any issues.
Like, the look of a game isn't gonna depend on the graphics card. As long as the drivers are working properly and you're not getting like graphical bugs and it supports all the technologies that are in the game, they're gonna look the same. Okay, it depends on the game and it's the graphic settings that you're using inside the game. Your frame rate and your frame times might change, but that's it. Why are they even including these interviews? I don't know.
Would you recommend someone spending, I don't know, upwards of like $600 more than something else if it's the same?
I cannot get behind that, no.
It was a lot of fun.
Okay.
My first time playing, my first time seeing some graphics so fire, like AMD's graphics.
AMD's graphics look the same as Nvidia's graphics. You guys might want to try to deny me that. So the video just felt really unscientific and it made the viewers have to guess what the heck was going on because you couldn't see the whole scope of the situation. How many people did they ask? How many people got it right? How many people got it wrong? AMD could intentionally be cherry picking the results to make this video look better and better for their company. And it's obvious when it is AMD's video, they could definitely be skewing the results. Like, this video feels almost childish from AMD, like they have to prove something to the community instead of just standing on their merits. Their cards are definitely the same as Nvidia's, and nobody could tell whatsoever. And some other people in the comments did say this. It's like, come on AMD, you can do better marketing than that. But do you guys remember when Nvidia dropped the RTX 4090 and some cables, the power connectors were melting? If you want to know just an update, I didn't even see this at the time, but Nvidia is or has been supporting people who have had the problems. So they say. I can't exactly confirm if that's true, but this has kind of been resolved. But I don't know if you guys are aware, but AMD at that time when Nvidia was going through hell trying to deal with these cable connectors melting, you know what they did when they announced their 7900 XTX and XT is they said this.
Industry leaders in performance per watt. There's no need to rebuild your desktop, no need to upgrade your case, and there's no need for a new power adapter.
Oh, you got them there, AMD. Oh man, Nvidia's crying. They're Oh man, you got him. Yeah, it's just kind of cringe. At least in hindsight, people were kind of upset about the new connector. And it's kind of annoying to have to get a new adapter, have to mess with your power supply to get that all working. However, at the same time, it doesn't justify a multi-billion-dollar company like AMD to stand up there and act like two kids in an argument saying, mine's better because of this. Instead of being mature companies like they are, AMD took a way more childlike approach to saying this instead of really just sticking to their guns and saying, hey, we think this is better, so we're doing this. But maybe that wasn't as embarrassing as Nvidia having to unlaunch the 4080 12GB, later releasing it as the 4070 Ti instead. But this was embarrassing because they clearly were going to confuse customers with with having two types of 4080s, a 16GB one and a 12GB one. And yeah, the 12GB 4080 was embarrassing from Nvidia. It's kind of a toss-up. Like, is that as bad as when AMD completely misrepresented the performance of the 7900 XTX at launch? Let's look at this.
In pure rendering, the 7900 XTX is up to 1.7 times faster than our previous generation flagship GPU.
That's up to, so maybe average performance at 1.5. When we see what we actually ended up getting with the 7900 XTX at 4K, so I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt here, 35% faster on average. And this might have gotten better in time, but it probably goes to show that AMD was trying to achieve much better numbers on average, but they didn't end up getting there by the time the XTX launched. Back when AMD also announced the 7900 XTX and XT, they announced a little feature called FSR3.
Even with resounding success of FSR2, we won't stop there. I'm excited to show you a preview of a brand new version of Fidelity FX super resolution technology, appropriately named FSR3.
They also announced this.
So we heard you. To simplify all this, we're introducing HYPR-RX mode. With HYPR-RX, we've redeveloped these performance boosting technologies to all work together and at the same time, compounding their benefits and giving you a one-click experience to improve frame rate and latency.
So basically what HYPR-RX is from AMD is just taking all of those features, anti-lag, Radeon Boost, and Radeon Super Resolution, taking all of those and making a one-click solution to enable them all at once. And as you can see here, AMD promised this feature to come in by the first half of 2023. It's been the first half of 2023, and we haven't even had a word on what this feature is going to be. AMD forgot to launch HYPR-RX, and they also, as we mentioned, announced FSR 3.0. That they've barely told the public anything about these features and when they're coming or any updates on the development process. We don't know crap. So bad marketing move from AMD at the very least, but to give them at least some credit for FSR 3.0 is that feature wasn't teased on a release date, but they genuinely messed up with HYPR-RX. It's like, oh yeah, AMD hasn't released FSR 3.0 yet, which is its competitor to DLSS 3 from Nvidia, which generates frames in between the actual game to give you a smoother gaming experience, but it has some drawbacks with latency and stuff like that. We gotta talk about Nvidia's over-reliance on showing frame generation in their benchmarks so that these cards that are coming out in the 4000 series, these cards look like better than what they are. As you can see in this benchmark, they already have to use DLSS 3. They use it in Microsoft Flight Simulator. They use it in Dying Light 2. It's cringe. Like, dude, it's cringe because instead of showing us just the actual raw performance, they know these cards are bad and they have to compensate with the FPS, with the DLSS and the frame generation. They have to say that that's how it is. I gotta say, AMD isn't any stranger to this as well. The 7900 XTX launch event, they showed 4K with ray tracing because the 7900 XTX actually isn't that fast at ray tracing. They enabled FSR and it looks like performance mode, which is the least high quality version of it. They had to enable that to get a decent frame rate. Okay, they had to use their crutch of FSR to get reasonable performance, and they showed this on stage just like Nvidia shows it in their trailers or on stage for their cards. as well. Just like when the RTX 4060 launched just last week. This card had a lot of weird marketing about it, but what the Nvidia did is they allowed reviewers to actually benchmark Cyberpunk early. As you know, Cyberpunk has like frame generation and DLSS, and it has all of the Nvidia advantages. And judging on these benchmarks here, the 4060 actually overperforms in Cyberpunk compared to what it would be. So a lot of people, when they saw these videos about the 4060 performing in Cyberpunk before it launched or before reviews could go live, these numbers were definitely skewed in the favor of the RTX 4060. And a bad omen from Nvidia was just written all over this. Like, who would really trust these numbers? Like, the 4060 is so boring, they have to advertise it on its power consumption. A 60 class card, they have to talk about its power consumption because it draws so little power that makes it so much better than the competition, or last generation cards like the 3060 and stuff. They made an entire article, which I couldn't find it unfortunately, so this one's coming from a different website, where they did the math to see in Germany you might save, under very specific conditions, $66 to $132 over a 4-year period. This is like a high school debate club member, like getting a subject they don't like and then they have to defend it. Their marketing team is trying so hard and is making all of the marketing so extremely cringe. And that's why we're getting things like this. The 4060 claims no one is really buying it, and this doesn't surprise me like whatsoever, man. AMD isn't really in that much of a better boat. Their most recent release just launched over like a month ago, and we've seen it as far as $20 under MSRP. From what I've been able to see is like Nvidia seems to be out of touch with their marketing, showing things like frame generation and DLSS to try to prove that their cards have more performance than they actually have. And AMD tends to be a little bit more childish with their marketing, a little more immature than Nvidia. So both of these companies are just kind of like bleh. And what I really want to talk about, all of this bad marketing could be excused if the products were good. Say like your favorite game or something. Maybe battle passes, maybe you don't agree with that monetization structure of your favorite game. But guess what? A lot of people don't complain about the monetization of a game if the product itself, the game, is still extremely fun. You can look past its flaws. These products, these graphics cards, are in that same situation where it's hard to look past all the marketing bullshit that's going on because these products are not good. Well, Nvidia and AMD, just make better products and we won't complain about your marketing. See ya.